Hello, happy Friday. So a couple of you asked me to show you how to make the bread that I had posted the other day, that like crunchy top loaf in the Dutch oven. It was ridiculously easy, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. I already put my yeast and half a cup of warm milk into my mixer, and a little bit of sugar. You want to put the sugar in there because it helps feed the yeast. And you want to let it sit in the warm milk for a couple minutes so that the yeast starts to bloom and it starts to work and get ready and excited and happy. And then you want to take your 4 cups of flour and salt, and we're going to slowly start adding that to this. And I also have, is this not disgusting or what? There's an egg in there. It's a cup of warm water, and I just cracked my egg into the water because that helps warm up the egg so that it's not ridiculously cold when you're adding it to your bread. You don't want cold stuff when you're making bread. That works against the yeast. So you want warm water, you want warm milk, not hot, not scalding, because that will kill it. Just a nice warm to the touch milk and water. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add that into my yeast and milk, and I'm going to start adding my flour. I'm using my KitchenAid and dough hook. That makes it easy, less kneading, less work, sort of a less mess unless you're me, and I tend to make a mess with pretty much whatever I do. The boys are not helping me with this one because of the mixer, and I just kind of wanted to do this one a little bit faster. Less spills, since this needs to be a little bit more accurate of measurements. So I'm just gonna let my dough hook go ahead and knead that. I will show you. It's gonna start making it into a dough, and then as it continues, I will show you what it looks like after a minute. Okay, so after about a minute, it starts to form this nice looking dough, and then you can continue to knead it in your mixer, or a combination of both, so you can knead it in here. I'm just gonna do a couple more seconds, and then I'm gonna pull it out, and I'm going to knead it by hand. So once it starts pulling away from the sides, you know that you're getting somewhere. So you can see I have my dough out here on a floured surface. It's still a little bit sticky, so I'm gonna put some flour on here, and we are just going to knead our dough. And kneading your dough is important because you're building up the gluten in the dough, which is going to build up the elasticity and give you that nice chewy loaf of bread. So you just want to do this for a couple minutes. Again, you can do a mixture of in your mixer you can do it completely by hand. Obviously it's a messier process to do it by hand, but you know, if the kids are getting on your nerves in quarantine, or your husband or your sister or whoever, where did I throw my flour? Need a little bit more flour. That's the thing. If it's still a little sticky, just add your flour as you're kneading it, but you will get messy. But it is nice because you get to kind of take out any quarantine tension. For me, it's my kids and driving me crazy on day 586 of quarantine. But you know, it's all good. It's good. We're fine. We'll make it. So after we knead this for a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put it in a bowl that I already have filled with olive oil. So that's going to prevent it from sticking from the sides and getting all dried out. And then I'm going to cover it with a tea towel, and I'm going to let it rest for about 2 hours. So as you can see, the dough is nice and put together. It has a nice bounce to it. I went ahead and put it in my oiled dish, and I'm just going to go ahead and toss it around so that it all gets coated with the olive oil, and then you're going to let your baby rest. Okay, so we've let our dough rise for 2 hours, and it has doubled very much in size. I'm going to take some flour, and I'm going to sprinkle on my countertop again, and we're just going to lightly knead this. Now, you'll know this is right if you push your fingers in, it indents, and it just slowly starts to deflate on down. So we know we're good here. So we're just gonna take our dough, we're gonna flop it out, put some more flour on top, and we're just going to gently knead this one more time to build up the gluten, and that's what makes it a nice chewy loaf. So I'm just taking the sides and I'm kind of pinching it into the middle. Stretch it out with the palm of your hand. I don't know if, there we go. Just kind of pinch that out. And then after we knead this for just a minute or two, you're going to put it back into your bowl, and we're gonna let it rise for at least an hour, but you can let it rise for up to 3 hours. For me, I'm probably gonna go about 2, but you want it to double in size again. It's a little cooler in my house than it was the other day, so that affects the rise time as well. So that's probably good. Take your, it's so exciting. All right, I'm gonna put this in my bowl and we're gonna let it rise again. Okay, we are now in the home stretch of our bread baking. This is after our second proof or rise, whatever you want to call it. You want to dump that out onto your counter and dust again with flour, and we are just going to shape this for the oven. And I'm just pinching in the sides again, making it into a nice, oh, I guess you can't see that at all, nice loaf. Dust the flour all over the top, make sure it's all over the sides. We're gonna go ahead and take a knife and we're gonna go ahead and score this. I am just doing 3 cuts across the top. You can get fancy if you want to. I'm not. Just keeping it rustic. And we are going to put that inside our lined with parchment paper Dutch oven. My oven is preheated to 450, and I'm going to pop this in the oven for 45 minutes. And for the last 10 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off so we get that nice crispy crust. All right, time to get our bread out of the oven. It has been baking for 45 minutes. We have a nice crust on top. I had taken the lid off at the 10-minute mark. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip this out. Maybe. Lift it out this way. And we're gonna put it right on there. Now, one way to tell if your bread is done, you can flip it over and tap the bottom, and you can hear that it's hollow, and that's when you know your bread is done. So I'm going to take my dish towel and I am just going to wrap this up, and I'm just going to let it sit for another 30 minutes, and then it will be ready to enjoy.